called detergents. You.
Yes. The reason I couldn't continue was the capital you paid for. So, just more. Let me know. So little. That your program are you child up to, let's say, 100,000 naira. I will know you from the block. I was doing 30,000 naira.
Thank you very much. So it's election season right now, and our politicians are going around doing a lot of nonsense in the name of empowerment, in the name of poverty alleviation programs. Before everybody has talked about how we're marginalized, I would like to focus on how we are keeping ourselves in that trap, so that we can keep playing the card of victimization. Before I talk about how we can revitalize the digital economy, I would like to ask what you were doing back then, before FCT, before the move of seat of power to this place. It's a general question. What were we known for before farming? This year alone, the budget of our country, 291 billion naira is earmarked for the agricultural sector. 291 billion naira. And that is, agriculture is the most essential part of our indigenous economy. Our leaders, nobody has tried to, we have Nexus Bank, we have the Bank of Industry, we have the Ministry of Agriculture, don't have money. People come from outside here and turn to billionaires with grants or loans that they are secure from the banks. But nobody among our leadership, nobody has ever proposed or even thought about creating clusters from our communities so that they can approach the federal government to say, give my people who were originally farmers, give them 10% or 20% of the budget that is for agriculture, so that they too can start to get out of poverty. Recently, our representative, Honorable Mika Jiba, went around, gave wrappers to our mothers, and called that empowerment. There is nobody. It's funny, but it's a laughing matter, unfortunately. There is nobody who has ever okada'd his way out of poverty. There is nobody who has ever used grinding machine to get out of poverty. It doesn't happen. There is no way they will give you, even the 100,000 naira that they will give to you to start businesses. There is no way you will get out of your financial cycle with that amount of money, with that level of training. Senator Philip Aduda organized, I'm a filmmaker, has organized several trainings for people in courts who are supposed to be in the creative sector. That's a multi-billion dollar industry. And you gather people in hotel, bring people who themselves are less experienced in what they claim to teach, to come and speak plenty Englishes to these people. And when they leave, this is a capital intensive. The smallest of the equipment, the camera in my equipment arsenal, costs about 3 million naira. Some of the smallest of the cameras here, I'm sure, would not be less than 500,000 naira. And these people finish from there, and you give them 25,000 or 200,000 naira for the highest, those who got the highest money, and you say that you have empowered them. If it was efficient, we've been spending over 150 million naira of constituency project money doing this nonsense repeatedly. If it was efficient by now, we would have produced a very efficient, a very professional pool of filmmakers here. And do you know what that would do for us? Platform power. The conversation that we are having today is going to very likely end here. And the ripple effect will not be much after we leave. But when we have powerful platform. When AGTV, for instance, gets 100 million naira of that money from our distinguished senator, that platform will become big enough that it can begin to amplify the conversations that we are having. These are things, and then we can delve into the digital economy. Still talking about what we can, but since our leaders aren't doing this, the question now falls on us at community level. What are we doing? After that, that's a question that you should all ask yourselves. What are you doing in your individual community to ensure that you get yourself out of this? Because without economic power, any English you speak, anything you do, without economic power, there's nothing. You need the economic power to complement your political power before you can get any meaningful result. Before that right that you want to fight for, before you efficiently fight for, you need a combination of the economic power and the political power. Here are my suggestions. I would say there are funds available. I know that Lawrence and his organizations would begin to highlight some of these funds that are available to all of us. I would suggest that number one, as we go back to our various communities, let's form agricultural cooperatives. We used to do this in our culture. I'm a Baggy man. So in my culture, we used to do communal farming, where based on clans, different clans decide on whose specific farm they're going to go this week, next month, like that. And we did it on a communal level as well. Let's go back to that model, but in a modern way. Create agricultural cooperatives. Approach some of these farms. Approach some of the organizations that give funds to agricultural, to the people in the agribusiness. Approach them as cooperatives and get this funds. Secondly, trade clusters. We used to have women back then, our mothers, our grandparents, would pool resources together and go to the market, buy what is not available in the community and come to sell. We still have our mothers, a lot of our mothers sent us to school on the strength of the businesses they run with 20,000 naira repeatedly. They are very entrepreneurial people. So I believe if we can create trade clusters, there are funds also available. Like I said, Lawrence will make all of that available. There are funds that we can key into and raise money that we can own common facilities and also do our trade. Talking of this, everything is now political. Everything is political. So the politics of having this thing work efficiently, because when you do make your effort, we have to be realistic to ourselves. In FCT here, the land is the oil, right? So first of all, for you to make any meaningful impact with for your effort to yield any meaningful result, you would need a very large size of land. What we would do now is put pressure. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. What we need to do is, as you're forming these cooperatives, as you're forming the trade clusters, you need to now start putting our political leaders on a blast. I know that there's a thing they tell us a lot of time in the banking community when you want to talk to an elderly person or you want to hold a leader accountable, and they tell you, Lakofa, you don't fight your own. It's not this. We're fighting for survival. The time for niceness and forceful peace in quotes is gone, because like in the next 5 years there are 49 communities in the FCT that have been marked. They are going to be moved out of the FCT. When over time we cannot cope with the financial stress of living in Abuja, we are all going to disappear. And once we vanish, we're gone. So we need to now put our political leaders, this is the time for us to put our political leaders on a blast. Make sure that when they have, once we have all of these cooperatives and the trade clusters, begin to go to them. This is election season and it's a good time to start. Go to them, let them know that if you are not going to go back to your drawing table, the empowerment thing that you used to come and give us wrapper, we don't want. Our mothers can buy those wrappers for their own. The Maggi and the rice you come to give us, we don't want. Give us ways that give us skill sets. Show us ways. There are people who sit in their rooms these days and make millions of naira, millions of dollars because of their digital skill set. Tell these politicians now that these are the things that you want. These are the things that we want. As a rapper, I'll tell you a very personal story. For a long time, I've been very vocal in my criticism of our political leaders. I have got several job offers from a lot of them. So many people here know that. And I told them that. I could tell you that because I have a skill. I'm contented where I want. And I know that I'm going to be a billionaire by my own and God's will. I do not want any politician's money. This is a mentality that we must imbibe if we want to get out of here. If not, the English you are speaking. This is a strategic meeting, so we need to now put all sentiments aside. You were born here. This is your ancestral land. Nobody is going to give you anything because this is your ancestral land. That's the truth. By the nature of every animal kingdom, the strongest survive. If you have something that you want, you have to demand for it. You have to strategically push for it. And one of the ways that we can do that is to look our leaders in the eye and tell them, you are not doing enough. In fact, even when a leader does well, clap for him. After that, tell him, do more. Otherwise, if you reach your limit, get out. Let somebody else come that can take it continue from where you have stopped. So I will make available some of the resources that I know will be useful to some of us so that we don't take a lot of time to Lawrence and Co. And I hope that at the end of the day when we leave here, we can have take very practical steps to turn things around. Thank you very much and good to see you all.